Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown as we try out the Wood Elf grenade launchers. That is going to be myself on the left-hand side under the guise of Melon Lord up against Camp Garden and his Norscan hordes. Now, what do I mean by the Wood Elf grenade launchers? You must be thinking, Duck, Wood Elves, they like bow and arrows. They're more of a traditional type of elvish folk. They simply would not allow such an abomination as a grenade launcher to be placed on the field, but secretly they've had them this entire time in the form of the Deepwood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards. Been talking to Aristodamos recently about these bad boys and thought I'd give them a little whirl on quick battles, and I've got to say, they can do some pretty decent damage all round. These guys do fire 2 arrows in one go rather than the standard one, meaning they can shred their way through infantry rather quickly. And I'm going to be trying to use them as grenade launchers, as if I was a Empire Outrider, and use them to target down enemy infantry where possible, and see how much they can indeed shred. They do magic damage, which is a nice little niche as well, but we've got 2 here in the front line, supported by a Glade Lady on the glorious Stag Mount. One of the most beautiful mounts in the entire game, majestic and badass at the same time. Same goes, of course, for the Glade Lady, coming in with the Prey, as well as arrows of Kurnos, and the Eye of Kurnos to try and give a better base missile damage to the Deepwood Scouts in general. Back up this side, we also have a unit of Wild Riders to help support this foot core of archers. And over on the far side, we have double Glade Riders of Hagbane Tips, supported by a unit of Wild Riders and a unit of Sisters of Thorn. One of the best counter-skirmish cavalry in the game. Very fast, can poison and throw down javelins, have the bound Curse and Shield of Thorns, but more importantly, come with a glorious 40% physical resistance, meaning they can take a decent amount of enemy range fire pressure. For our main battle line, we've got triple Dryads, as well as a few units of Eternal Guard guarding the flanks and the rear. And leading this ground force is going to be the Branch Wraith, because the Glade Lady is going to be kind of bouncing around the battlefield. I want a hero nearby in a central position to help buff and protect all our troops. Coming in with Melkov's Mystify, Miasma, Pendulum, Scroll of Shielding, and of course the ever-faithful Earthblood. As for my opponent, he's gone relatively wide as is expected. A bucket ton of Marauders dotted all the way along the battle line, as well as more elite Bad to the Bones Marauder champions in the secondary force. Looks like they are chevron up as well. My opponent has included 2 units of Marauder Hunters with Javelins. Big fan of this in case you run into a Tree Blob or Durfu or anything similar. We also have Wolfric the Wanderer on horseback, coming with his boat, Hunter Champions, and Fight or Die, as well as a Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, coming in with a load of spells actually. Burning Head, Flaming Sword of Ruin, Fireball, oh god, I'm going to forget all these names. I haven't seen so many spells in so long. Flamestorm and Piercing Bolts of Burning. We have a ton of Marauder Horsemen with thrown axes as well, guarding the rear, and hidden in the forest we have the Beasts of Tashnar, as well as Norscan Ice Wolves and some Skin Wolves who are indeed armoured, which is an interesting choice, trying to give them a little bit better resistance to that missile long-range pressure. Deepwood Scouts are loosing some volleys now into the faces of these shielded Marauders, who are very cheap, so at the end of the day it's not going to be getting us a huge amount of damage value, but it's certainly going to be covering for one of our main weaknesses in the Wood Elf roster, that is that you often get surrounded and beat down, so we're trying to just clear out as many units as possible, now hunted down those champions. Wild Riders are clattering into the enemy all the way along the battle line. On the far flank you can see we have completely broken a unit of Marauders before fleeing once more out of range of the javelins, hopefully, and in the front line these Wild Riders have helped break up some more Marauders with the support of the Deepwood Scouts. This is going to allow us to protect them a little while longer. Some Marauders have overextended a little bit, and the Sisters of Thorn shall be darting in, hammering home these Marauders, doing some lovely burst damage, and buying more and more time for the Deepwood Scouts just to get to those kills and rack up the value. At this point, I did notice the sneaky little vanguard over in the forest, well, I didn't quite know how large it was going to be, but we're going to be continuing our main approach, Wild Riders hammering home as we slowly fall back. Well cast Burning Head does come down. I did actually try to spot it and dodge it, but skirmish mode was online, so my troops just kept running in the wrong direction anyway and going straight through it. But luckily, we didn't take too much damage due to our spread out skirmish formation. And a big fight has started to be engaged over on this left-hand side. One unit actually bugging out here, that's a bit weird. The champions kind of spaghettiing all over the place as Dryads do start to get aggressive with them. Wild Riders are pushing into the enemy back line, trying to shut down the Horsemen with thrown axes, doing a pretty decent job. And we have a duel of duelers. The Glade Lady did go toe-to-toe with the Shaman Sorcerer of Fire. I've been trying to get her to escape this combat for a little while, and she doesn't seem too keen on doing such things. Instead, going for some 316 no-scopes and taking on a javelin to the flank. But she is bloodied, but certainly not out of this fight, and she's going to be whipping around and try and get to safety in the near future. Wild Riders doing a decent job once again hammering home some of the Marauders in the distance. Looks like the beasts have been hit by the curse as they hopped on top of the Eternal Guard, but it looks like Skin Wolves as well as more Norscan Ice Wolves do pressure into the back line, trying to shut down the Deepwood Scouts. Luckily we burst in with the Sisters of Thorn, getting Earthblood Hill going on, and the Glade Riders even engage in combat to really force back the Norscan Ice Wolves. plus we drop a prey on the skin wolves with our Glade Lady, who is finally fleeing back, bloodied but not beaten. However, all of this isn't without loss. A big burning head is going to come down the line, roasting some more of our troops. Luckily, they're mainly skirmish ones. And a lot of the wild riders are getting very beat up or slowly shut down and crumbled. Eternal Guard holding the line relatively well. Deepwood Scouts continue to pepper in and do more and more damage to the skin wolves, who are rather beleaguered at the moment. Now we should be able to chase them off with the Sisters of Thorn, who are quite beat up at this point, but done a very good job so far. More Marauders are pushing into the back lines, shields raised. But the rate of fire on those archers is pretty scary stuff. Marauders aren't going to get anywhere near them before they do get slain to the last man or decide to flee. Once again, this unit of Marauder Champions goes absolutely spaghetti on us for some reason. That is really bizarre. Hunter Champions has gone down on the Glade Lady, but she is relatively safe at this point. And the Horsemen are going to be trying to get some thrown axes on her where possible. She's just chilling in the centre of the battlefield at the moment. Shaman Sorcerer Fires getting into some glorious hand-to-hand combat up against an Eternal Guard, but he is certainly outclassed. And all across the battlefield, we're doing it relatively well. At this point, I do realise my backline is pretty secure. We pop a lovely little Earthblood to try to counter that boat a little bit, although it looks like we are going to take some damage. And at this point, we can just slow the game right down, continue to pepper units, isolate Wolfric here, use our mobility. The right-hand side, I'm happy to commit these Dryads if my opponent wants to shoot them. That is a-okay with me, because it means none of those Javelins are going to any of my key units, like my leader or these Deepwood Scouts or horses or anything along those lines. Glade Lady manages to cycle charge Wolfric and bait him out into the open here. Branch Wraith as well as Eternal Guards and Dryads are in hot pursuit as the mighty stag does bound across the battlefield. More and more Marauder Champions getting finished off by bolts to the face. Foe Seeker was popped on Wolfric the Wanderer. Unfortunately, there is no safety for him. Popping Melkoff's Mystify and Miasma on him will allow the Glade Riders to hunt him down and slaughter him in his saddle. Deepwood Scouts going to absolutely ignore him though and continue to pressure forward, now trying to aim on the Marauder Horsemen. They're relatively lightly armoured and we should be able to blitz them down rather quickly. We can follow the glorious flight of the arrows and many a dead horseman lay on the ground. Dryads continue to push into the back line, Javelins focusing them down where possible. Eternal Guard have managed to finish off the Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, and things are going pretty well. My opponent has a decent amount of skirmish cav left, but likewise we have Glade Riders, we have decent infantry, and we can certainly form a little Helm's Deep around the Deepwood Scouts if so needed. And at least we have leadership, which is something my opponent unfortunately does no longer have. With the Shaman Sorcerer running for his life, Eternal Guard obviously going to continue that pursuit as long as possible. Deepwood Scouts continue to pour fire into the Hunter Javelins, an engagement we're certainly going to win if it comes down to it. Glade Lady's going to push forward as well just to net one of these guys to lower their missile resistance, as Dryads continue to streak forward alongside Eternal Guard. Glade Riders get a little aggressive as well onto the Marauder Horsemen, shutting them down and breaking them off the field. Lovely little net has gone down. We're even going to pop an arrow to Kernos just for a bit of flair here in the end games. At this point, I'm feeling pretty confident. However, my opponent hasn't given up just yet. Hunters continue to fight, and it looks like the prey has worn off these guys. They launch a load of javelins into the flank of these Dryads, who would eat in shots all day. It looks like the Norscan forces do break, and my opponent concedes. Very well played to him, though. Really fun game. A Pyrrhic victory for sure. We lost an absolute ton of troops in our pursuit and goal of protecting those Deepwood Scouts with the Swift Shiver Shards. This game, they didn't get the craziest damage value across the board, but I think it is a good showcase that can be used just to whittle down your enemy numbers a little bit. 38 and 44 kills doesn't seem insane, but the amount of HP damage they do then allows the Wild Riders and other units to mop them up. Units work really well with synergy in the Wood Elf Force, and that is a synergy I like quite a bit. Well played there to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll go for the damage value and damage delta and all that good stuff in just a second. Hope you guys enjoyed though. If you did, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content if you haven't already. It does help grow and push out the channel to reach more and more people. Down below in the description there's links as well to my Discord. You can join a really cool community who loves all things Warhammer and duck based. You can hone your skills, learn new skills, get involved in tournaments that I host, send me replays, all that good stuff. There's also links to Patreon and so forth down below. But yes, on to the juicy damage value stats, and both the Deepwood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards performed pretty well. This unit getting over 1,000 damage value, 8k damage dealt, and the other one nearly 1,000 itself, 985. Certainly not too shabby, and when I've been bringing these guys, to be honest, I've been pretty much always getting near 1,000 damage value on them, which is really good stuff, of course. And also, they're really badass, and that's the main reason we want to take them in this build. A unit which can fire 2 arrows in one go always has my consent. The Cavalry Corps, always very important with the Wood Elf forces, coming in with the double Wild Riders. Again, not the craziest damage value, 650 here, 850 on the other one, but those kills, they were just mopping up the troops that the Deepwood Scouts did initially soften up. Glade Riders, always a fantastic unit, 950 damage value on one, 1,100 on the other. Good kills across the board and fantastic durability, one of the best skirmish cav game units in the game, very pesky and annoying to catch. Sisters of Thorn, a hugely underrated unit I don't see anywhere near enough. Their physical resistance makes them really good in that prolonged skirmish game if you are going to be bringing units such as Deepwood Scouts or Glade Riders. Plus the Prey as well as the Shield of Thorns is always useful. 1,159 damage value on these ladies. Pretty glass cannon, despite the physical resistance, because they don't have a huge model count, but very worth it if you can pull them off. Dryads across the board did relatively solid stuff. 600 damage value here, 245, 840. Likewise, the Eternal Guard, nothing crazy, but that wasn't their job. Branch Wraith did a solid job as well, buffing and debuffing, healing up our troops with some nice Melkoff Mystifying Miasmas to slow down key targets. And the Glade Lady on the Giant Stag just is so awesome and crazy badass. 1,496 damage value, 4.4k damage dealt, beautiful stuff. As for the force of Norsca, Wulfric did get 1,000 damage value, certainly not too shabby, though he did struggle, didn't quite have the mobility to get at the throats of my characters like he would normally like to. Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, 700 damage value, not bad there either. Marauders across the board didn't do too much, unfortunately for them. 0-2, 0 kills there, 33-11. Really poor stuff from the Marauders, and again, that's because of that cycle charging and softening up from the Archer Corps. The Marauder Champions did a bit better job. 800 damage value here, 490 another one, still not fantastic. Likewise for the Javelins, they did manage to do some really nice crossfire at one point on the unit of Wild Riders, racking up 421 damage value and 873 on the other one. But once again, nothing out of this world. Likewise with the rest of the build, really. Smaller horsemen with thrown axes, again, really struggling to get in on those key targets. Likewise, the flank overload through the trees, the sneaky schemes. The Beast of Tashnar, 291 damage value. Ice Wolves, only 384. Skin Wolves as well. A unit which is normally so solid for the Norscans, unfortunately getting hunted down by the Sisters of Thorn and overwhelmed with just 517 damage value. Hope you guys enjoyed. What do you think of Deepwood Scouts? Have you had any luck with them? I should say the Swift Shiver Shard variety, but any of your Wood Elf fun units or builds that you like that other people don't seem to like too much, let me know down below in the comments. But until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.